Okay, so it's 4:32 Pacific time. Welcome from Vancouver, and thanks for being here. Welcome to Health Action Network Society's webinar series, Thriving Through It. Today, we're very pleased to present Dr. Jennifer Doan's presentation on pandemic anxiety, you and your child. Dr. Jennifer is uniquely qualified as a practitioner. She's one of the few naturopathic physicians in Canada with 3 medical licenses, naturopathic, acupuncture, and homeopathy. Dr. Jennifer will take questions after her presentation. Please use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. The webinar is being recorded and will be available for viewing and sharing on the Health Action Network YouTube channel and our website. So without further ado, welcome Dr. Jennifer.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for taking the time to be here today and spending your time on Zoom, because I know that there's been a lot of Zoom going on during the pandemic. And so here are a bit about those letters behind my name and what they mean. So I am a naturopathic physician in the province of British Columbia. I'm a registered licensed homeopath in Ontario, and I'm also a licensed acupuncturist. And I use homeopathy, functional medicine, integrated body psychotherapy, and acupuncture in an integrative approach to medicine. And my focus these days is very much on homeopathy as a way to create change. So today you'll be hearing my approach to treating anxiety. So here's what we're going to cover today. What is anxiety? Some tips for supporting your children's anxiety, tools for managing personal anxiety, and at the end there will be a slide with some follow-up resources, and you can feel free to take a screenshot of that. So what is anxiety and how does it show up? So anxiety is a fear response. It is emotional and physiological. And if it goes on too long, it's exhausting and it can wear us out. And it wears out our adrenal glands, which are our stress glands. And in adrenal fatigue, the body is impacted. So then we start getting physical symptoms. And there's a whole range of physical things that can start to happen. Some of the symptoms that are associated with adrenal fatigue that you may be familiar with. So anxiety is catchy, like fear is transmitted. I like this slide because it's got, you know, the imagery of the transmission of electricity along lines. So, you know, if someone around us has anxiety, or if we have anxiety, it can be transmitted quite easily. So someone who is triggered or dysregulated tends to will affect the people around them. So we can frame anxiety as something that kids are doing, but we can also say that we also have anxiety, and kids may be reacting to your anxiety, and you may also be reacting to your kids' anxiety. So everything we talk about in this webinar is going to be relevant for both you and for kids. So how does anxiety show up? So there can be this sort of feeling around the heart, this constriction feeling, physical feelings of anxiety, numbness, palpitations, trouble breathing, sleeping problems. Sometimes these physical is anxiety. Sometimes we'll just feel really tired. Depression and anxiety go together. A short temper, fight or flight reactions, not able to relax, not feeling grounded. You know, what does that mean, not feeling grounded? So, you know, sometimes people feel kind of up in the air, or they don't feel like they've got their feet on the ground, or they're not feeling safe. Some people can get panic attacks, not feeling resourced, and low self-confidence. So our goal is to try and turn some of this around. So we're going to talk about managing kids' anxiety first, and then we're going to talk about managing our own personal anxiety. So we'll first talk about managing anxiety in kids. Structuring free time for kids during the pandemic has been really important, and there's lots of resources online around structuring free time. It's quite a popular topic. And then at the end, I'll have some resources for parents. So let's talk about this first tip, which is called shaking it out. So if anybody has a pet at home, like a dog or a cat, one of the ways that animals discharge stress through the parasympathetic nervous system is by shaking or shuddering. So you might notice that after your family pet or your friend has some kind of stressful interaction, they might shake or shudder. And this is a way that the parasympathetic nervous system discharges energy and discharges stress. So, and you might have experienced this yourself after any kind of stressful event, or if you're having, you know, an intense conversation with a friend. You know, sometimes our bodies will start to shake, and it can be a little bit disorientating if we don't really know what it is, but really it isn't. It's just sort of an evolutionary way that our body discharges energy. So we're not evolved enough to know if we are being chased by a tiger or if we've just had an argument with somebody in traffic. So so these kinds of fight or flight experiences create energy in the body that need to be discharged. So I thought we could start by doing an exercise. And what I'd like you to do is find a place to stand up wherever you are and see if there's some, you know, find some free space about an arm's length around you. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to get you to just shake out your body for about a minute. And while you're doing that, make sure you're engaging your breath and your breathing, and make sure that you've got your feet on the ground and you're engaging your heels on the ground. So I'm just going to let you do that right now. Is shake out your body. This is a really great exercise to do with kids. They really love it. They think that it's fun. It helps discharge their excess energy. And if you are someone who has mobility issues or you don't want to shake your whole body around, you can, you know, some shakes are bigger than others. So you can just shake your shoulders, or you can just shake your arms out. You just move gently. We don't want you to hurt yourself. So just, you know, you can shake down to your torso. Just do whatever it feels comfortable. So while you're kind of shaking it out, it's a good idea to put a timer on this. Don't do it for a long period of time. You know, a minute is a good is a good amount of time to shake it out. And then after you've shaken your body, I want you just to kind of look around whatever room you're in right now and notice what feels different. So, you know, notice if there's anything different with your vision or anything feels different with your body, and just notice the difference. So the next exercise or tip, I guess, that is really great for getting back into present is looking at colors and shapes. You know, when we are triggered or something's going on, oftentimes we have fallen back into the past, and we've kind of lost our present, being in the present. So you know, there's a nice slide here of lots of different colors and shapes. And so what I'm going to encourage you to do to experience this one is just look around the room that you're in right now. And I want you to look at colors and shapes. Be aware when I do this exercise with my patients, you know, there's this kind of mental chatter that, you know, they're commenting on, you know, artwork or isn't that interesting? So just let all of that, your mind is going to want to have commentary, and, you know, just let all of that kind of, just notice that and let it go. And what I want you to do is look around the room and name out loud colors and shapes. So you can say things like blue. I'm just looking around the room I'm in right now. Yellow, triangle. And do it at a fairly slow pace. There's no rush to do this. If you want to look at the screen, there's a lot of colors and shapes there. And as you're doing this, I want you just to notice what happens to your body inside as you're slowly looking around the room and out loud naming colors and shapes. So this is a really nice exercise that you could do with kids. If you have, you know, a little piece of pottery or a toy that's colorful, and, you know, they need, you know, even ourselves, you know, we need to kind of come back, like really focusing on these colors and these shapes. It just brings us right back, and it's a really good tool. So I'm going to do, I want to introduce you to a breathing exercise. This is an integrative body psychotherapy breathing exercise that we do, and it's called the lion's breath. And kids love this. And I am going to show you how to do this. And it's based on the Maori, the New Zealand indigenous people, the war dance, or the haka. So what I will show it to you first, and then I will get you to do it. So I'm going to do 2 of them, and I'm going to do it on the in-breath. And if you have a small person, a young person with you, they will probably love this, and you will probably love it as well. So what you're going to do is on the in-breath, we're going to breathe in and open your eyes as wide as you can, and try and touch your tongue to your chin. So I'll do it again. I'll do it twice, and you can do it with me. So and I am aware that this is being recorded. So why don't you try doing 5 of those in a row, and notice what happens? So this breathing exercise is a throat and jaw release. And kids love this. They think that this is the best thing. It really helps discharge a lot of energy. And breathing, breathing and grounding for ourselves and for kids. I mean, there's a ton of breathing and grounding exercises and things to do and ways to do it. But breathing, breathing is the way that we interface with the world. It's how we take in the external world, and then we breathe out. We take in what we need and we breathe out what we don't need. So breathing is a way that we can kind of slow down the speed of what's happening around us. So let's talk about how to support our own personal anxiety. So we're going to talk about ways to get present and grounded, and we've already talked about some of those. We're going to talk about some daily practices that you can do to sustain a sense of well-being, and then supporting long-term stress. So these are a few of my favorites: journaling and a gratitude journal, or a practice of gratitude. Up until recently, most of the research on gratitude has been self-reported. New studies are showing that gratitude journaling not only affects emotional well-being, but can also improve the biomarkers of legitimate health risks, such as heart failure. So I'm just citing a study here. Cardiac patients who were in stage B, otherwise known as pre-heart failure, have a small window of time for reversing the downhill spiral towards fatal heart failure. In this study, doctors had their patients try gratitude journaling during this small window. Patients were randomly assigned to either the experimental group or the control group. Those in the experimental group did an 8-week gratitude journaling intervention. Those in the control group underwent treatment as usual without gratitude. After the 8 weeks, all of the patients from both groups underwent assessments that included a 6-item gratitude questionnaire, resting heart rate variability, and an inflammatory biomarker index. Those who practiced gratitude journaling showed a drop in heart failure symptoms and had a reduction in inflammation. Praying about, meditating on, and then writing what you're grateful for at the beginning of your journaling session immediately shifts your emotional and physical state, as well as your perspective. So Oprah tells us that we should be doing 2 minutes of gratitude in our journal for 21 days to notice a difference. I don't know if you're familiar with this book, Personality Isn't Permanent. This is a really interesting read about how our circumstances can change our personality or who we are. Benjamin Hardy talks about how about journaling and writing down how powerful it is to journal and to get, as a witness to our own process, we can change it. Julia Cameron has written The Artist's Way, and her first couple of chapters in The Artist's Way are about free writing. So she talks about journaling, doing 3 pages every morning of free writing. So just not even thinking or judging what you're writing. Just let it spill out. You know, you're only doing this for your own benefit. No one else is going to be reading it. You can do pictures, you can do whatever you want. I actually, I can't do 3 pages. It's too much for me. I've decided that even if I just write, if I'm having a day where a line is enough or a sentence, then that's, you know, as long as I write something. So let's talk about managing long-term stress. We're going to talk a little bit about a princess date. Managing or structuring time is also a way to manage long-term stress. And then we'll talk about some other ways of going deeper. I'm going to talk a little bit about homeopathy, functional medicine, and integrative body psychotherapy. So in Jennifer Loudon's book, The Women's Comfort Book, she actually is a series of comfort books. There's the couples comfort book. There's quite a few. She's actually written quite a few very helpful resources. And the Women's Comfort Book, all of her books actually, are great because when we're tired or burned out, we generally can't remember how to nurture ourselves. We're blank, and so there's sort of an index in the middle that will, you know, if I'm feeling this way, these are some ideas. So the hiding under the covers is something that helps to, you know, if you're having a lot of colds or headaches or burnt out, you know, it's a day that you can plan for yourself where you follow your own energy. So, you know, it's good to plan this ahead of time, making sure, you know, having a book that you feel is going to be nurturing, or some magazines, or choosing a movie that is your favorite movie or that lifts you, or if you've been watching way too many movies and way too many Netflix, maybe something else that is going to have the same kind of effect. But it really is sort of a mental health day. And I think with COVID as well, you know, for me, sometimes I'm having too many of these kinds of days. And there's also a chapter in her book about that. You know, if you've done too much, sometimes over nurturing or not in the right way can also kind of lead to not feeling quite right. So functional medicine is a form of medicine that deals with broken body systems. So if we are having anxiety or stress over a long period of time, and we're not kind of keeping up with ourselves, body systems will start to break. So adrenal system will break, hormonal systems will begin to break. It's not enough, you know, that eating well and, you know, doing yoga, that's great, but that is not what's, you know, that's not enough to fix a system that has been broken. In functional medicine, we talk about how, you know, we are not a car. So if I put gas in my car and I drive my car, when the gas runs out, the car will stop, and then I have to put more gas into the car. Human beings are different than that. Our systems run differently than that. So I can put fuel in my system. However, our bodies have the capacity to go past, if we run out of fuel, we actually can continue on. And so what happens is that our bodies will go into what's called a catabolic state. So in order to have the fuel to continue on, our body will start to break down um, organ and muscle and bone tissue in order to create that energy. You know, the liver releases sugar in order to have that energy to keep going. We don't go on nothing. Something has to, we have to have fuel from something. So, you know, when we go into this, start going into this catabolic state or this breakdown kind of state, that's where inflammation and weight gain and all those things start to happen, because we've gone past what our capacity is and we're now going into our reserves. In traditional Chinese medicine, we talk about qi, and then there's our backup qi. There's a, you know, I like to use the banking analogy of our, you know, your RSPs and your day-to-day banking. So, you know, if you've kind of, you know, gone into your, you know, you've been using up more energy than you actually have. So you've had too much anxiety or too much stress or whatever, and you're now using your energy Visa card to get you through. At some point, that Visa card needs to get paid, and it will pay, your body will pay that price. So functional medicine is a way to start repaying your Visa bill. And your Visa bill might be, you know, 5 years of, I mean, I think we tend to sort of forget how much stress that we're under, and also for how long. So functional medicine is pretty integral to repairing, physically repairing the body in terms of recovering from stress. Homeopathy is a system of medicine that helps kickstart the body, natural ability to heal, relieving symptoms gently while building overall health. Homeopathy is one of the most popular systems of medicine in the world, and in the last 10 years has seen a huge growth of popularity and information. Homeopathy is based on vitalism and the understanding that our body is an adaptive system and is adapting to stressors every second in a seamless way that we don't really know it's happening. So you can, I put a little picture in this slide of streamers in the wind. And so if your vital force or your energy is the streamer in the wind, you know, we're sort of constantly and seamlessly dealing with, you know, little things that, little stimuli that come along every minute of the day. So we have this healing energy inside of us that tells our body when it needs to heal and keeps us in balance. And in homeopathy, we call this the vital force. And in traditional Chinese medicine, it's called qi. For example, when you cut your finger and it bleeds, the body knows to send out some sort of clotting factor. And it also somehow knows that these are the things that need to happen for that to heal. The body has an innate way of knowing how to heal itself. So, you know, so our you know, like that streamer in the wind, you know, your body is continually sort of adapting to, you know, what's going on. And so if you imagine that at some point, you know, something comes along and it overwhelms the vital force or it's too much, that streamer can get stuck. And so the flowing, it's not flowing as much as well as it could be, and the body gets stuck. And this is when we start to develop signs and symptoms. So now it needs to be treated on the level of the same. So homeopathy or some sort of energetic medicine, acupuncture works with meridians to try to influence the vital force because it is stuck and it doesn't know how to move forward. In homeopathy, we use the law of similars, like cures like. And homeopathy is a system of medicine which is very successful in doing this. And when the signs and the symptoms go away, the body can go back again to managing seamlessly these stimuli that go on in our lives. And I'll talk a little bit in a couple of slides about homeopathy for home. And it's, in some ways, it's a good way to start, you know, some of the other remedies, some of the first aid remedies, such as aconite, are, you know, once you kind of get some experience with homeopathy and see that it's working, it's quite an amazing science. Aconite as a remedy is, I'm using it a lot with my patients right now. Aconite is used for the very, very beginnings of a cold or flu. So that feeling of, you know, in traditional Chinese medicine, they call it wind cold. So when you go outside and it's quite windy or cold, and then you come inside and, you know, a little bit later, you know, there's that feeling in your ears of, oh no, or my throat is sore. That is an aconite kind of moment. An aconite will be able to shut down, you know, if something feels like it's starting in terms of a cold or flu, aconite is amazing. It will just shut it right down. It does have to be at the very beginning of a cold or flu. If you wait longer and the cold or flu or whatever goes more internal, then you're looking at different remedies. But aconite is for this very, very beginning of a cold or flu. It works like a charm. Aconite is also a remedy that is amazing for shocky situations. It's used in veterinary medicine with dogs or cats, like those, you know, those nights that we have in Vancouver, the fireworks nights where, you know, it's very loud outside and dogs are quivering at home in terror of these loud sounds. And animal owners, you know, they give their dog or their cat a couple of doses of aconite and it just settles them right down. It really is a good remedy to know about. And so, you know, its usefulness in any kind of shocky, frightening situation. For instance, if you've been a witness to a car accident or you've been in a car accident, anything that's kind of shocky like that, aconite is a great remedy to know about. So the other modality that I really love a lot is integrated body psychotherapy. So integrated body psychotherapy, you know, we don't have time to go into all of what integrated body psychotherapy or homeopathy is, but this is another way of, by using breath and movements and mindfulness awareness of releasing these stuck sort of patterns. So when I was talking about the streamer in the wind and the free flowing, you know, integrative body psychotherapy is another way to unstick, so that our energy and our vitality can move and be vibrant and alive as we want it to be. Yeah, much of what I'm just looking at my little prompt picture down there. you know, much of what we kind of show out or we see in the world is our own internal process. So if we, you know, if we have a history of trauma or some limiting beliefs, you know, inside, that is how we're going to see the world. That's what's going to be projected outwards. So some of the, you know, working with some in these ways in shifting some of the internal beliefs or traumas that we have will help to see the world in a different way. So yeah, so I just referenced these homeopathic first aid kits. I think it's great for people to have and learn to have to manage you know, first aid home situations. You know, there's great remedies for things like bee stings for kids and burns and strains and bruises. And this is a way that you know, you can start becoming more familiar with what homeopathy is and what it can do, and also be your own sort of, you know, you can be that person on the ground who's got information that you can help with, you know, speed healing up. And of course, you are going to have a homeopath to refer to just in case you need extra help with that. You are more than, please take a screenshot of this if you want to. Anxiety Canada has some free courses for both adults and children. These are a couple of really good YouTube videos for kids and how to manage how to manage emotions, and you know, when emotions get overwhelming and too much, some guidelines is what to do for that. I think that I am at the end of my talk. So I want to thank you. I think I've done pretty good with the timing.
Excellent. Thank you so much. That was very informative and interesting. And now it's time for questions. So if anybody has a question, can you please use the Q&A feature in the bottom of your screen? I think we have one question so far. And that was, can you use aconite after months of shock, or is it one that is best used right away in the way exposure to cold is?
That's a really good question. You know, so this kind of, you know, this kind of waving, this in the wind thing that I was talking about, you know, when something gets stuck in our vital force, it's stuck. It doesn't resolve without some help. So often, you know, yes, you can use it afterwards, because if something is shifted and it hasn't had a chance to kind of shift back, the aconite would work for sure. I'd probably need to know a little bit more about what the situation was, but I think that it kind of illustrates how, you know, if we're impacted by something, our vital force can't overcome it by itself, it needs some help. And so, yeah, for sure. Aconite is an amazing remedy for right now. Everyone should have it at home.
Great, thank you. Next question, is there some way to rebuild the adrenals after a lifetime of stress or support adrenal health?
Yeah, that's a really good question as well. That is something that probably you're going to want to talk to a professional about, because each person is individual, and you know, rebuilding, because we're so individual, I can't really make a generalization about anything. So one person's sort of profile, I guess, might look differently than somebody else's. So, you know, you might have some individual thing that needs to be addressed for your adrenals to come back on board that somebody else might not have. So there are ways to test your adrenals. You know, there's just so you can see how depleted you are. Some people don't really realize how depleted their adrenal glands are. I've had patients come in and their adrenal function is almost zero, and they have no idea how. Like, it's really hard to tell how wiped out we are, because we all think that we're fine, right? And it's only when our body starts getting loud that we realize that we're not.
Another question.
How's that for an answer?
That's great. Related question, can a blood test determine adrenal health?
If you are, the conventional medical system will measure cortisol levels, but in general, if you see a naturopathic physician about this, you're going to be getting a saliva test that's going to measure a whole bunch of different hormones, but the adrenal hormones, cortisol and DHEA.
Great. And another, can you recommend a resource to learn more about integrative body psychotherapy?
Yeah, there's an organization, IBP Online, which is the IBP the group is based in California. There's a book called Body, Self, and Soul. By Jack Rosenberg. And Jack Rosenberg is the founder of Integrative Body Psychotherapy. He and his wife, Bev, basically invented it. And so Body, Self, and Soul is his book on IBP.
Great. Excellent. Thank you. And another, do you suggest the use of herbs to support adrenals?
Yes.
Could you?
Which herbs? Is that the question?
Yeah. Any suggestions?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of adaptogenic herbs out there. Ginseng is probably one of the best ones. Ginseng and withania. Ginseng is you know, a king remedy for tonifying in traditional Chinese medicine, and it's also very warming. There are some people who should not take ginseng. If you're someone who has a response to coffee, so some people, or caffeine, like some people when they drink coffee, they get really kind of jittery. They should not be taking ginseng. So then they'd be looking at a formula without ginseng in it. There are a lot, I mean, adrenal health, fortunately, has become a topic, and people are starting to understand more about what it is. And, you know, about 5 years ago, nobody really knew what it was, but it is, people are getting more educated about it. And there are formulas on the market now that you can buy. And yeah, so there's some very nice formulas out there.
Great.
Just want to make sure that you're getting a good quality product, right?
Right. Excellent. Thank you. Any more questions? Oh, I think we've got another. Oh, okay. Could you show us the list again that you said we should take a photo of? Maybe I could have, maybe Maureen, you could contact Dr. Jennifer. Oh, Is this the right list?
This is the resource list that is that what, is that?
I'm not sure. If this is not the correct one, Maureen, you can watch this entire presentation later. We'll have it up on the website, or I can send it to you. I think I have your email address. So we can definitely get that list to you. I think it was one that was at the beginning. You said take a picture of it. So I think I remember the slide. So we'll make sure that we get that to you one way or the other, Maureen. Thank you. Anybody else? Well, I guess we're done. Thank you so much for this.
Well, thank you for having me.
You are very welcome.
Yeah.
That was wonderful. And what is the best way to get a hold of you?
I have a website, and you know, I have a meet and greet. You know, if people want to just kind of you know, talk to me about what's going on, and you know, there's a way that you can do that. You can just book in for a 20-minute or a 15-minute sort of meet and greet through the website.
Great. Okay. Yeah. And the website is www.jenniferdoan.ca.
It is, yes.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you. And for the rest of you, the next Health Action Network webinar will take place on Tuesday, March 23rd. Dr. Patrick Callis will speak about the pandemic blues, a timely topic as 50% of Canadians are experiencing mental health decline over the last year. The registration link for Dr. Patrick's webinar can be found on the Health Action Network Society Facebook page. We'll also be sending it out via eBlast. If you'd like more information, please contact me at NAIDA, N-A-I-D-A, @hands.org. And finally, to stay informed and aware of what's happening in natural and integrative health in Canada, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And don't forget to sign up for the HANDS newsletter at www.hands.org. And thank you to all of you. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.
Right.